Question. Uh, do I do I stick my hand out? Do I give Sona a signal to bring Lily in?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's doing like 10:08, I would say.
10:08.
Like
Okay.
2 minutes before.
So, I'm gonna close the door.
I'm on an auto, because it runs out, so I have a key box.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know, exactly.
Good thing I had that song set up for the show. Good thing I had the song set up for show.
I know.
I got to do that. Very quick. I love the song. This was, who produced this? It was, Puffy.
What?
Puffy produced this, didn't he? He didn't produce the song? I think he did. After they both died, I think Puffy produced it.
Oh, yeah?
Because I think the Tupac and Biggie collaboration, they never collaborated.
Yeah. It just never
It
happened.
never happened? Pretty sure Puppy did this. Okay, here we go. 5,
All right.
4.
Eric, you ready?
Yeah. Chris, can you push the chair a little bit? That way. On go.
Oh.
3, 2, 1, go.
What's good, listeners? Welcome to the Chris Collins Show live on 22 West Radio. That is 88.1 FM HD3. Good morning, Marissa. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Good morning, Chris.
I know, isn't this a beautiful day?
Yes, it is. I
We-
love sunshine in California.
Isn't that true? And we got a really exciting guest that's coming into the studio live at 22 West Radio. That is LiLi Joy, the contestant of NBC's The Voice. I cannot wait. So hashtag that team Blake. Let's get it going on.
That's
But
right.
before we even get her bringing in the studio, we got a show to get started. Let it begin. So this is hashtag TLDR, too long, don't read. We did all the reading for you, so you don't have to do it. So there was an article that I found really interesting this week that I had no idea was even a birth date for anything. So an article from the New York Times titled, Batman is Turning 80, Fighting Crime Must Pay, written by George Jean Castines. Detective Comics, where the Cape Crusader debuted on March 30th, 1939, reached issue number 1000 last Wednesday, just days before the hero's 80th birthday.
Ooh.
Peter Sanderson, a comic book historian, had this to say. It is evidence of the greatness and power of the Batman concept that the character has appeared continuously over 8 decades. I don't know about you listeners, but Christian Bale still is the greatest Batman of all times in my book. You know, there's nothing that, I don't know, I mean, there's nothing that even comes close enough to Christopher Nolan when it came to the big screen with his Batman trilogy. And if I had to rank my top 3 Batmans in the game of we all know as bang, marry, and kill, I'd probably bang Michael Keaton. I'd probably marry Christian Bale, and I'd have to kill George Clooney. I'm sorry. Exactly. I'm sorry, he's the worst out of all of them. But don't get me wrong, you know, Tim Burton's version of the Batman brought out some of the most iconic, recognizable villains of all time on screen, from Danny DeVito's rendition of the Penguin to Jack Nicholson's The Joker.
I love you some Joker.
Dude, I know, right? And because, you know, the standards are held so high for actors to portray the Batman villains that Heath Ledger's role is cemented as one of the greatest antagonists of all times. So Marissa, let's
Yeah.
switch it up this time. If you had to bang, marry, or kill a Batman villain, who would it be?
I'd probably bang Christian Bale.
Okay.
Because,
But he's not a
little
villain.
crazy.
He's
No.
not a villain,
Oh,
though.
for a villain.
I'm saying villain.
I'm sorry. Joker, bang. Marry Joker some more.
Okay.
And then for kill, probably the Penguin, just because
Really?
he creeps me out. No, he's
I always-
brilliant. He's brilliant.
Remember
But
Arnold
he, like,
Schwarzenegger?
I do.
That was
I do.
that was pretty
That
bad.
good. I know, but the Penguin creeps me out so much. So I would just kill him because he creeps me out.
Yeah, I can see that. I
But
mean,
I'm
that,
all about Joker.
but like that's probably why they never want to even touch upon the Penguin just yet. Not even the Gotham
couldn't.
series did it.
Oh, I
So,
know. I mean,
Yeah.
Danny DeVito is a brilliant man.
so Danny, if you're listening out there.
I would bang you too.
But I know, Marissa, you found a really cool article this week.
Yes, I did. So, in an article from the New York Times titled "The Right Way to Follow Your Passion," written by Brad Stulberg, he starts the article off with a warning: passion can be a gift or a curse. And Stolberg writes, quote, "Passion can be an energizing, fulfilling force, the stuff upon which businesses are built, works of art are created, and Olympic medals are won. However, if you're not careful, passion can become an equally destructive curse, leading to suffering and distress. Understanding how this happens and how you can prevent it is integral to mental well-being and living productively with passion," end quote. And Chris, as an artist who is married to an artist, I couldn't agree more about finding the healthy balance between the artistic pursuit of my passion and mental and physical well-being. And Stolberg lists 5 ways to find harmony within passion. So number 1 is don't judge yourself against others, but instead judge yourself against prior versions of yourself and the effort you are exerting in the present moment.
Okay.
Number 2, the practice the 24-hour rule. After a big achievement or a tough failure, give yourself 24 hours to celebrate the success or grieve the defeat. But then get back to work. Put it behind you.
Right, that's so true.
And number 3, focus on process over outcomes. The vast majority of life is the process, aka the journey. And number 4, embrace acute failure for chronic gain. You cannot gain unless you fail. Number 5, last one, is regularly reflect on your overarching purpose. Think about why you got started with your passion in the first place. It helps keep intrinsic motivation at the forefront of your pursuit. So why do you want to get into it in the first place? And Chris, I've used and incorporated all 5 of these principles as I travel down the river of my artistic passion, and it has kept me going. So Chris, do you have any advice for our listeners who are pursuing their passion?
Well, you know what? My biggest thing is it's like, you know what? You could, if you never ask, you'll never know. And if you don't do it, then you'll never find out whether you like it or not. So, like, it's a really big thing about how even this show got started, right? You were my very first guest. I mean, not even, very first guest, my very first interviewee. Like, I had no idea whether this was even really for me, and you were, when we did the demo spec show in Professor Foos's class, where we ended up convincing him to change the final to be, for the audio production class. So that's exciting. So just being able to pitch what you want and having people just hear you out, I think is the number one thing, and that's how you pursue your passion. Just don't fall flat. Keep going. The sky's the limit. So that's what I would
Beautiful
preach.
advice, Chris.
So that's what I like, and like, but this article, it's not much of an article, it's more of like a self-biography, and like, this was kind of cool. In the article from the New York Times titled, "Meet Blueface, the self-aware rapper who knows he's more than a meme," written by John Caramanca, follows the journey of the once-known SoundCloud rapper turned top 10 with his hit single, Tatiana, but Blueface knows music is the only part of the job. So Blueface, he basically catapulted from the local Los Angeles rap scene into an instant web sensation with rappers such as YG and Cardi B, creating remixes of his popular hits. The hilarious sexual bust down in which, Blueface yanks at his waistband of his pants is something I cannot seem to erase out of my head. But it's perfect, because I'd be going bust down, Tatiana, bust down.
Can I play a little clip of that?
You might as well.
All right, let's do this, just so our listeners can hear who is Blueface.
Dude, it's dope. Because...
Keep talking as I play underneath.
But, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and back in December of 2018, when Blueface signed a distribution deal for his first mixtape, famous Crip, you know, with Entertainment One Records, it was already notching between like 5 to 7 million streams a week, according to the Nelson Music Report. So this boosted Blueface's single, Tatiana, which you're hearing right now, to the #9 spot on Billboard's Hot 100. Hey.
Yeah.
No, but you know, I just laugh with like, because it's not even like an ego thing. I just love how he even states that, you know, it's just getting to the point probably took about 25% of the music, but the rest was honestly just marketing, promotion, and just being yourself, which I think relates perfectly with what your article was. And as a rising star, as unlike, you know, most rappers, this 22-year-old rapper, Jonathan Porter, openly describes Blueface as a character. You know, so Blueface is probably 10 times Jonathan, he said. Every rapper, I don't give a beep what they tell you. They got two different personalities. They are not like what they are when they are at home. What also surprises me is, which I kind of ended up finding out, was Blueface was actually his original name before he even became a rapper. So when he lived in North Carolina, he grew up in a schoolyard Crips gang, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I don't know, they never really addressed this in the article, but Marissa, since Blueface identifies himself as a Crip still, do you think Blueface will get caught up like 6ix9ine did with Trey Bloods?
Well, I mean, one of the problems you have, I mean, one difference with 6ix9ine, 6ix9ine kind of rolled with Trey Bloods for the aspect of the halogram part of the gang and getting that notoriety. He actually wasn't part of the gang beforehand, so there's no loyalty.
Yeah, that's
where Blueface did come up as a, you know, a baby Crip, baby Blue. But one of the problems might have, those feds are going to get him, and he wants the feds after you. You are looking at time.
My biggest thing is I didn't even know that there was such thing as Crips in North Carolina.
There are. They're actually all over America.
I see Eric Brigham's
All
face.
over
He's like,
America.
okay. So I guess they're all over the place. They're not just in West Coast, okay? But I mean, I just want to let you guys all know that you are listening to the Chris Collins Show live on 22S Radio. And for all the listeners out there, check out this week's podcast release featuring Erica Harlacher. That is Princess Elizabeth from Netflix's 7 Deadly Sins. And Chef Sam Asensio, you know, when he's teaching us some good stuff. And you know what, also, I just want to remind all the listeners, go check out our Patreon page. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and support us. Yeah. So today on Just Talking, we got a very special guest. We got LiLi Joy, the contestant from The Voice. How's it going, girl?
It's going good. It's going good.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm so excited. You look awesome with your attire. You're very colorful. Like I feel like I dressed a little too dark for this.
I have to go to the ends of the earth to find clothes like this. I'm telling you.
Do you go to thrift stores?
I definitely do, but I feel like online. You gotta go online. That's like the only place you can find the weird stuff.
So what are these like cool thrift online stores to go to?
Oh my god, like you can go all over Depop, you can go all over like I go in Dolls Kill, it's not like a thrift store.
Like what's it called?
Dolls Kill.
Dolls
It's
Kill.
like this big emporium of like kind of like off kilter like brands and stuff like that. I don't know. So if I
See, I need some new attire because I feel like I'm just wearing.
Oh my god, I should have like brought in a wig for you. Damn it!
I could have worn a wig.
That would have been great.
God, that would have been so cool.
Well, maybe on a future show, maybe I can rock it out with you because I know what's so special about you is it's like you get in this kind of cool special persona like when you're playing with your music and stuff like that, and I thought it was so groovy because like I was talking with you on the phone, like when I was growing up, I was a huge heavy metal fan. I loved Slipknot, and there's just something about them when they put on those masks where like they can kind of become this different person. And what you do with all your kind of different style of color wigs that you put on, it puts a different look on you. So can you explain a little bit more to the listeners what that's all about?
No, I just like it kind of started like I don't know. It just started with me as a kid, like just like watching like Barbie and like animated stuff, and like I just always wanted to be wearing like the most stand out-ish like weirdest thing that I could. Like it just helped me like get into different characters, and like I also did theater as a kid, so that like it kind of like led into me wanting to like kind of look like a character sometimes.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. It's just kind of like where it all started. And,
so it's really Barbie. It wasn't so much. I don't know. I could see maybe some like anime or like maybe some Comic-Con.
I have never watched anime, but you know what? When I was filming for The Voice, we were up at a hotel, but there was an anime convention that came through
Oh,
at the
that's
time,
awesome.
and everybody thought that I was there for the anime convention.
I saw the picture. I
Kept
saw the
asking
picture.
me, and I was like, no, but like honestly, I'm down to like come in with you. Like I vibe with anime.
Have
I
you
don't
seen
watch
the
it.
Seven Deadly Sins?
I haven't, but I watched
You
some of
need
the
to.
interview.
Yeah.
I should watch it.
Erica
I was,
Harlacher is
oh my
fabulous.
god.
It
No,
was-
she seemed like a super chill person.
She
like,
is.
Yeah.
And she came from theater also.
wow.
Run
Yeah.
by Cal
Yeah.
Poly Promote.
All good things come from theater.
That's right. Lily
so
and I
true.
did a play together years
Yes, we
ago,
did.
and
Yeah.
it was
Midsummer
Midsummer's
Night's
Night's Dream.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
actually one of the better. I always
So-
brag on Hamlet. I don't know why. I'm just like, nobody wants to watch a 4-hour
I
play.
mean, I don't know. I watched it when I was like 7, and I feel like I had a pretty decent experience. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but like, this is.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lily
Wow,
was
7 years
she was
old.
7 years old, and she came in like a boss. Right away I was like, this young lady is gonna be somebody, and she's going places.
Oh
And
my
it's great to
God.
have you here all these years later
I
in
know,
the
but
studio.
I can't believe like it took this long for us to like see each other
I
again,
know.
which is like really like weird. But I've like it's been like half my life.
I know.
since
I've seen you grow up on in Facebook.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, the beauty of Facebook, the never-ending yearbook that
Oh,
never
yeah.
goes away.
Yeah.
So just, I know that you're in high school right now, but like
Uh-huh.
Facebook will be your never-ending yearbook.
Oh no, of course. My mom literally. My mom has been on Facebook since I was like 6 years old. I feel like my whole life is on. Like it's insane. It's
true.
crazy.
And mentioning about the whole theater aspect and stuff like that, because The Voice, that's such a huge stage to be on. And so,
Ooh.
do you believe like theater is really kind of what helped you like pursue that kind of passion and
Oh
get
my
rid of that
God.
stage fright?
Yeah, no, like it totally did because like
Mhm.
when I was really little, I was like, oh well, cool, I want to get up on stage, and then that led into me like doing auditions in LA for like TV and stuff like that. So when I got into those like audition modes, I had to like practice that. And then when I came to audition for The Voice, it was like almost like the same thing. Like I kind of had to do like an audition, like almost like I was
Yeah.
auditioning for a role or something, even though I was just being myself. So it really did help me like get to the point where I was comfortable like being in front of the camera and being like, hey, this is me and this is what I
Well,
like doing.
one of the problems they have with people who do have the voice of phenomenal, like you hear it, is they don't
Yeah.
have stage presence. They don't know how to command the stage and take power in who they are, right? And
Yeah.
have their voice shine through that. And theater is, I teach theater at Cal State LA, and that is one of the things I tell, comm students is, this is what's going to get you through. And I'm glad to see that theater is what has,
Yeah. No,
catapulted you.
I think it's like a special thing that like any kid should like try as a kid. Like even if you don't end up liking it, I don't know. It's so important to like build your confidence.
Yeah.
And
even just in
I
everyday
love
life.
hearing that from you because like that's like the biggest thing where we're just preaching on hashtag TLDR. It's like you'll never know unless you try, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
And I know that like you're a huge advocate even through K through 12 where like we still need those extracurricular activities like like musical theater, guitar lessons, because I know like I was speaking with you over the phone, like when I first had my first guitar lessons, it didn't go well at all. Like I was literally shut down, crushed upon. The guy that I had, it was over at, I'm gonna call him. Nah, I won't mention their place. It's not even worth mentioning.
No.
But like, but basically, yeah, exactly. We're not doing that. But basically, he basically tore me apart over just trying to play Green Day's American Idiot, and I'm a lefty, so I wasn't sure whether I was
You had
able
a
to
hard
play.
time.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I was going to play it like a lefty guitar or whether I was normal, but just having that guitar class in high school was able to give me confidence to make mistakes, do the kind of things, and then figure out what I love. So, did one of those classes in Chino Hills, admire you?
Well, I actually, as a kid, it's kind of funny. I mean, I went to a private school as a kid, which I highly do not recommend. I hated it. But I went to a private school, and so they kind of have more funding towards the arts program since
Gotcha.
private funding.
Private.
So I think being in like the music classes where they were teaching like music theory at like a really young age, and we were doing like kind of like just like learning random instruments, like that totally was like a big part of my life. Like I looked forward to that class like every single week.
Aw.
And I think that really did have like a big thing to do with it, is having a good arts program. I don't know, even if you don't go into an arts field, like I feel like in your everyday life, just like going to interviews and talking to people, like it's so helpful to be able to have that confidence of like commanding,
Yeah.
like telling people things and like just being able to stand up for yourself and like, yeah.
And the arts also help with problem solving and critical thinking. Because
Oh,
you can
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
think outside the box and come to new resolutions and problems that might not have been presented right away.
That actually totally makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
it's
would-
so true, because, like, I'm in graduate school, for television, film, and theater, and,
yeah.
like, I didn't necessarily have a passion for theater, but I was taking these, directing classes for theater. I gained so much respect when my final was to direct a 20-minute piece. I'm not even
I
talking
saw,
about,
yeah.
A 2.5-hour play. I was
Good
sweating
director.
over 20 minutes,
Good
because
director.
when I'm in film, I can literally call cut, we can switch angles, I can
Yeah,
talk with the
yeah.
actress, I don't get that luxury with theater.
Exactly.
So I think that's really cool, even when your presence at such a young age, you kind of learn to be disciplined and kind of
Yeah.
know. Because, like, I thought that was such a cool point that you were bringing up. Like, it wasn't just you walked in and did your auditions for The Voice. You basically prepped yourself to get
Yeah.
ready for those
No, of
moments.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long road leading up to it, being able to go out and just be like, basically advertising yourself
Mhm.
to like millions of people and being like, hey, like this is me. And it just like it takes a lot of building up. Like you have to make sure that you feel good about yourself beforehand,
Yeah.
even like more than anything. For
Well,
sure.
one thing I always remind myself of, Linda Bessesti told me this.
Oh my God.
We have the same coach.
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. Is that luck happens when preparation meets opportunity.
I like
And
that.
really, if you weren't prepared so much in going in, but then you didn't take
Exactly.
the opportunity to go audition on The Voice, this part of your life would never have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like seriously, everything happens for a reason. Like I actually was the Voice actually they contacted me to come do an audition for them when I was 13.
Oh my
actually.
God!
Wow.
But yeah, I mean it was crazy, but
I didn't know that.
at the time they actually I went in and I did it, but I put so much of like my heart into it, and then it ended up falling through, so it didn't happen, and I was like, I'm never gonna go audition again.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to be on reality TV. Like it's not my thing. And then I kept developing myself. All I did for the next like 2 years was just like develop myself and like keep learning how to write and like writing the music and just like knowing who I was. And then
Yeah.
by the time I was like 15, almost 16, I was like, okay, well now that the audition's coming back around again, I was like, well, why don't I just like go for it this time? And I did. And then of course the time I thought, oh, nothing's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get on. Like I'm just going for fun. Like this is a fun day. I'll
Yes.
just get some food out of it, whatever.
Yeah, fiesta.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, but like yeah, so I didn't think anything was gonna happen, and then it happened
Yeah.
right when I didn't think it was going to. So I think that there's something to say about that. Like you have to wait your turn.
Yeah.
And I
And
think- yeah.
go in with the mindset of I'm going to have fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, and get the free food or get this.
The
or
free
some-
food.
and
Yeah.
have it, because honestly, I mean, I sat behind casting director stuff and like help cast. You can smell the desperation when someone comes in and it's like everything is riding on this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really weird. And if versus just going in saying like, look, either you love me or you don't. If not,
You
my
gotta,
life
oh my
continues.
God.
you gotta bring some of that diva-ness in, you know what I'm saying? And like,
Diva.
it's like, and I think that's kind of a cool point that you're touching upon. It's like, you just when you went in having fun, that's when people recognize you because you're
Exactly.
just being yourself. And I think what's really cool is because I know that you got some exciting announcement going on this summer. You're gonna be
Oh,
dropping
yes.
a new EP, which is exciting.
Yes.
And I thought it was so cool because like at age 15, you want to let the listeners know, you want to educate the listeners out there. And I know one of the biggest things that you have with one of your singles on your songs or your EP is actually a song addressing depression and mental health. So
Yes.
what do you want to tell the listeners out there that are listening to you right now on 22S Radio about the state of mental health today and what you would like to see different?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for a really long time it's been like kind of almost treated as like, well, you'll get over it and then you'll be fine. But like it's come to a point where it's like, okay, we can't like just say that to people anymore because
Yeah.
people are just like hurting themselves. Like you can't ignore the fact that people are giving up, and you have to give them something to try for, something to like work on, and that's what good therapy and like people to talk to. Like I don't know, I just feel like we've been addressing it the wrong way for a long time, and like we need more support systems
Yeah.
in place.
Suicide is the number one killer of teenagers.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it. And, and like nowadays with social media, it's playing such a big impact in our life. We got everything from Snapchat to Twitter to
Yeah.
Facebook, TikTok,
It's so bad, and like I know you guys always talk about like generations and stuff, like my
Yeah.
Generation Z, like we're the first generation to ever grow up always having technology.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
a baby, like,
Yeah,
without your consent,
exactly.
Mom.
Like I was on
Well,
the
that's a
computer.
that's a good
Yeah.
point because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, like growing up, like I don't know, you might have still listened to like or watch Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and all that kind of stuff. But before I even get onto that, we actually got to play a little commercial break. But we got LiLi Joy from The Voice, the contestant. She's on hashtag Team Blake, so go ahead and check her out.
You got 1 minute. That was beautiful, perfect timing, perfect timing.
Amazing.
All right, you got like.
I know, you always forget like how fast time's going in the studio. It's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, same thing when you're on the phone with people and then like, oh my god. I'll stay on the phone with people for like 5 hours and I'm like, what did I do with my life for 5 hours?
But you're awesome. This is great. This is really cool.
No, this is awesome. I'm super happy to be like talking about this stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like that's
Okay,
definitely
you
what we
guys,
want
we just
for
here,
you.
we got 40 seconds.
Okay.
Cool, cool. 40 seconds. What shirt are you wearing? I thought
Lower
it was
class brats.
I don't know why at the bottom I thought I read Good Charlotte. I was gonna be like, yes.
I felt like a Charlie. That's
I,
so funny.
I was like watching their like emo version when they
Yeah.
came out of Warped Tour in like 2003. I was
All
like,
right, you guys
oh.
are gonna have 10 seconds coming in. So once I click to this next one.
What's good, listeners? You're listening to the Chris Collins Show live on 22S Radio. That is 88.1 FM HD3. Today we got the Voice contestant LiLi Joy in the studio. This is so cool because we're talking about her. We're talking about her new music. We're talking about her inspirations. And one of the things we haven't even touched upon yet is it's like, how cool is it to like be able to get, you know, some feedback from Blake Shelton?
Oh.
You know, and like what was kind of like, you know, the musical,
my God.
like what was like some of the things like he gave to you or like
Okay,
some advice?
Real fast, first off, when he hit the button and turned around, I was like, you had better hit
You
that
have
button.
no idea.
And how the
No
heck?
idea.
And how the heck did he not know that was Gwen
Oh,
Stefani?
he knew.
He
knew.
definitely knew.
You think
He
so?
knew.
It was
believe me.
funny because people had really good feedback, and I can't wait to keep working with him. Like honestly, he's really awesome. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
what were
that's
some of those
great.
things like he was telling you about, like he kind of prepping on to get on to that big stage? I mean, was it, you know, did he ask you about any kind of your musical career moving forward?
well, so far, like, are you talking about like before the voice audition?
I would say like kind of during, you know,
During
or
the voice
but did he
audition?
say something to you
Well,
before?
no, because you don't actually meet the judges at all, like before
Yeah.
you audition or anything like that. You don't have
Right.
to meet them till like right after. But after we did the audition and everything, he was like, oh well, like I think it was still on TV too. And he was like, oh well, yeah. He was saying that like he was just saying some really big voice. He was like, oh, you have like a vibrato that's like really crazy and unique and like da 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 and like he was just talking me up. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Well,
Just,
you're-
really
you're-
But no,
educated and everything.
you're definitely very talented for what you're doing because at 15 years old I would have never been like pursuing
Yeah.
that kind of career because like that's why I think it's so important to have voices like you on this show and kind of just express to the whole world that like just because you have like you're 15 years old shouldn't stop you from pursuing your dreams, and I think that's so special with what you're doing. And like
Yeah.
And you're also
I-
like really funny. I don't know if we have time to play real quick.
Let's
We have-
do it.
Okay.
We
God,
actually
my
found-
boyfriend's gonna
We
Just because
got-
we talked about Blueface
well, we
earlier.
did, yeah, we did dig up some dirt.
Yes, we have.
We were
Oh,
looking,
no.
yeah,
Oh,
and we
no.
saw that you did for a school project, which I think is so cool because.
I would be a little bit careful because I think my address is.
No, it's
Oh,
only-
we're
it's
not
only
playing.
voice.
We're
You can't- you
only
can't-
playing that.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
You better. We're gonna post it as unlisted right after the show, so
Yes.
no one sees it.
Exactly.
But we just thought it was so funny because it is a sensation. You know, the
Yeah.
Generation Z is loving these
Oh
songs,
yeah, no,
and
it's goofy. It's real.
I love it. And like, do you want to kind of explain to the listeners kind of what you did?
Oh yeah, so we for English we had to do like a book report on the Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and how you do a book report on that book. Anyway, so basically the guy turns into a bug in the thing, and I don't know, we just had to do a bunch of details on it. So I changed out the lyrics of Tatiana.
It's great. Okay,
It's like
everybody-
James the Giant Peach.
Listen real quickly for this. It's a quick little clip.
I love it.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oi!
Is that your boyfriend singing?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
It could have been me. Like
Oh, that was
maybe
great.
could have hit me up with a yeah.
I don't even know how he went that low. Like his voice isn't that low.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So Buggy on, I think that's so cool because it's like with me when I'm in school, like I always like to hit two birds with one stone, and I always like hate just doing assignments. Like you said, it's like a book about a man turned into a bug.
Yeah, no, it was read a song or do a video.
Yeah, that's
the go-to because that's the easiest way.
And
to
that's
go.
true. And I wanted to just ask one more question. Is basically, was there any like contestant on the show that you actually like fell in love with or kind of bonded with on like a cool level?
Yes. Oh my god. So Michaela Estelle and Cicely Hennigan were probably like my best friends ever while I was there.
That's great.
You can look up their auditions.
Yeah,
They're
they were
absolutely
good.
amazing.
Yeah, very good.
They're amazing, and like I'm trying to meet up with them soon because they all live on different parts of the country. So,
Yeah.
But I would love to do music with them eventually. They're just like really cool, like amazing vocalists, and like yeah.
But isn't that like cool though? Because like you meet all these kind of cool people, and then now you have more reasons to travel outside the country. Because like even like with me, it was like my first time leaving the country before in December for the first time ever. I went to Japan. So like I encourage you at a very early age to go and travel as much as you can, because it took me until 25 to do it.
I love it. And
so,
honestly, if you're collaborating with artists around the world, it's a business expense. Hey,
yeah, that's
taxes.
true. That's true.
We were actually considering doing like a Europe thing this year. We were like, but the thing is, like, we were like, I don't know if it's gonna actually get written off or not. So we were like, I don't know.
It would.
Really?
Well, if,
We
yeah,
considered it.
you can do it.
But I don't know
Tell
if
me.
We're
would
doing
come.
it.
I'm going to be in England in August. And
Cool.
if
I
you
will
go to
have one
London,
person there.
I will be there.
Yeah.
But I think that's so cool. We got LiLi Joy from The Voice, you know, the contestant on the show. She's on hashtag Team Blake. And I just want to remind all the listeners out there that you are listening to the Chris Collins Show live on 22S Radio. That is 88.1 FM HD3. Stick around. We still got LiLi Joy on with us, and we're going right on into it. This is Strike a Chord. Love this segment because I'm a huge lover of music. I love every kind of genre, maybe not bluegrass. I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
You got, yeah.
What?
I know.
I love these bluegrass. Oh, you're so uncultured. So uncultured,
So-
right? Even
I'm mad
LiLi
now.
Joy loves some bluegrass.
I know, right? The aggression is so hot in this studio right now. But you know what? But the best part about Strike a Chord is, and like I was telling you, is it's like my thing is it's like I'm kind of getting sick and tired of all these radio stations constantly playing the same stuff over and over again, right? And it's like the same thing I always go off on is about Guns N' Roses or like AC/DC's Back in Black. You know, you always got all those great hits, but they never play like Shoot to Thrill or Rocket Queen or It's So Easy. So we always like to educate the listeners, you know, to kind of go beyond the horizon. Because like I know with you, like you got some musical inspirations. Like I know you're a big fan of Mac Miller, which is a really cool thing, and especially since like we kind of talked on the phone about how you basically it was tough for you. I mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough year for like artists. I don't know if it was also 2017, 2018.
Yeah, right.
Like we had Lil Peep die, we had X die, we had Mac Miller die, all like in the same proximity, and two of them from the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Drugs, which is
It's
so
unfortunate.
disheartening.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and like I don't know, because I'm not in high school obviously anymore. But are you seeing that becoming a problem? You know?
I mean, it's especially I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's just where I live. I think it's mostly in most of the country too.
Right.
It's really just like, yeah. I think with the rise of like mental health issues, I think it definitely comes with it because people are looking for something to just like
And it's self-medicating too. So if there is a mental disorder or a disruption in chemical balances, better than a disorder, I should say, that becomes self-medicating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
trying to be able to feel normal when the brain is not, snapping.
Yeah, and I know Mac Miller, as much as it was so unfortunate of his passing, but like he was
really hard.
and he was very much a vocal spotlight for these mental health issues and stuff like that. And I know he's got a beautiful song ROS that's like really cool. It's really
I love literally probably one of my favorite songs that he's ever made. Like I pop that one on all the time. It just like makes your day.
It's
It just
true.
makes you
Like
dance.
I actually woke up to that actually because I haven't heard that song in such a quick second that when you like
Yeah.
when you reminded you, even though we might be on the different
Mhm.
spectrum of
No,
generation
we
gaps,
in
but
it together.
I love that. So like, so let's
It's
check.
two different ends of the, you know, still
Spectrum.
meet in the middle.
That's true. That's very true. So like, I say we play it right now. This is
Yeah.
Mac Miller's ROS. Cool.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
so
we got
cool.
the
And then
5-minute
we'll-
song, so I'll
and then
pull
we're
it
gonna
down
play
after a
your,
couple minutes.
Song
Perfect.
from The Voice.
Oh yeah, that'd be freaking cool.
I just because I got the green mic, so I'm feeling a little sassy
Feeling
today.
a little sad. I love that. That's so
Because
great.
usually I get the yellow one because like I like to think that I'm the blonde bomber or
Can
something.
you ask him if he's gonna be typing in or
Exactly.
calling?
Oh my
So-
While I
God.
do it
So
now.
I'm getting in the zone with this, and like we're still in March,
Exactly.
it's St. Patty's Day, I guess. So.
Oh my god, I love that.
But like, are you like a pin interest girl? Like, do you do any of that kind of stuff?
Like
when
what?
you like
Whoa,
pin
that's so
interest?
weird. Oh, pin interest.
Pin-
Sorry, I was thinking
Yeah,
of
you know-
Snapchat and
Oh,
Pinterest.
no.
I was like,
What?
whoa, Chris. I
No,
was like,
Wait.
what are,
You know,
what's
like that
going on?
website where it's like, yeah, you know, like.
Oh!
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You
the way you said it, that just got so weird.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I have never heard it pronounced. I was like a little bit confused. Like,
I know,
no,
right? All of us as women, we were like,
I was like, wait,
Chris.
Chris.
No, I
15.
actually don't use that so much. I generally find like inspiration on like Instagram and
Okay.
like Depop and stuff like that. I don't
nice.
know.
Okay.
Because it's so
yeah.
quick to just hit that search bar, you know,
Oh,
to
yeah.
be able to
The
find like
reason I don't like
anything.
Pinterest is I have to like always sign in for some reason, and like it won't let me like navigate easily.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan.
because I know my older brother Casey, like he was like so obsessed with it because he's like in school for. We do have an ad break, so we'll talk
I
a
know.
little bit,
Yeah.
and then
And then
like,
we'll do the
we'll
ad break,
talk,
and
and
then
then
we'll
there's
do
an
the
ad break that comes
Okay.
at like
All right,
10:40,
ready?
and then
I
Del
want to
Valle
fade
will
you
come
guys in. Let's go.
Awesome. Yeah.
What's good, listeners? You are listening to the Chris Collins Show live on 22S Radio. That is 88.1 FM HD3. It's so cool. We have you in the studio. LiLi Joy, the contestant from The Voice, and I love that song.
And
And
lead
I like
singer
Oh
of
my God.
her Abnormal Joy.
that's
Let's
true
not
too.
forget that.
That's very cool. Very cool
Yeah,
female
very
fronted band.
cool. Yeah.
And like I know you guys got to keep in touch because I know you got big things happening
Yeah.
this summer.
Yeah.
You got a huge EP dropping, so that's huge. And you know,
Yeah.
just keep a lookout for that. I don't know when it's dropping.
Yeah, I don't know yet, but let's just say it might be within the next like 2-3 months.
Yay.
But
Coming soon.
so,
We'll
yeah,
see.
and we'll
Yeah.
definitely be blasting like crazy. So if you go on the
Oh my
chriscollinsshow.com, it's gonna be all over the place. So we're gonna be hyping it up for her just as
Thank
much
you
as
so
she's
much.
gonna be doing it as
I
well.
appreciate it.
But you know what? I definitely want to play your song that you played on The Voice. You know, "Cool,"
Yes.
and like I know we touched on it a little bit, but it's still so crazy that like you know Blake Shelton picked you on that song. I mean, to me, I still feel like he might have not known, but then again, I'm getting a little bit more insight from you that he might have. Who knows?
I'm pretty sure he knew that
I
it
think
was
so
a web
too.
song. Like I think that's like a
I
solid.
think the producers also know when to like try to have like conflict. You know what I
Right,
mean? So they
right.
play it
Yeah.
for the conflict. But let me tell you, the second she started singing, it registered with him. He knew the song,
Yes.
and then her voice is. If your voice is so much older than how you are.
Yeah,
Like
it's
when I
true.
was just listening to you, I'd have been like easily 27, 28 because you have a soulful voice.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. So I probably would put you in your 20s.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you turn around and
Yeah.
he sees LiLi. You know,
Yeah.
LiLi Joy. Like it shocked him. And you're on your ukulele.
It's
I
the
was
jazz
like,
music.
yeah.
And I like
It is.
what is that technique you're doing on the ukulele? Are you like doing like a knuckle hit like on the ukulele when you're making
Oh
that
yeah,
sound?
I just went like.
I
Yeah,
loved
just
it
like
because
tap it.
I immediately was like going through my little brother's room, like, where's that ukulele? Like, I wanted to try it out. I was like, that's a cooler trick. I was like, so I wanted to practice that same
Oh,
move. And
it's so fun. I love my ukulele. Shout out Luna. Like Luna actually messaged me and they were like, "We love that you used our ukulele." And I was
That's
like,
so
"Ah,
cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
like, send me some more. I got.
Yes, I love it so much.
So Luna Guitar, if you're listening right now, make it happen. LiLi Joy needs it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's got a big EP
Yes.
dropping, so
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
Exactly.
But I do know, you know, we still got LiLi Joy on the show, but we got to go right into a commercial break, so stick around.
And then we'll come on and then it's jump into her song.
Yeah.
This is a longer commercial.
It's alright, gotta keep the show running.
Yeah, I know, right?
I still don't see Delgado. Can we see if he can call in? I don't see him.
He said he was gonna try to Skype. If he can't Skype, then he's gonna call.
All right, because I got nothing. No phone call, no Skype.
Yeah, no worries. Because I think he's gonna call around this time, and if not, I guarantee Brigham just ran out. He'll call because he knows around this time of what's good.
And if not, we'll get you guys on another time too.
Pain in the
Pain in the
I know, right?
blue.
I know, hey. I just feel like doing Fortnite dances all day.
Oh my god.
You like the
I love
Fortnite?
me some Fortnite
Okay.
Are you a
dances.
Fortnite or Apex Legends?
I've never played Apex
Okay.
because it doesn't, like, my computer's a Mac and it's like a potato. So like, it doesn't like run video games barely at all.
Same.
So no Fortnite.
I've got 20 seconds.
I did play Fortnite for a while though.
Oh, my little
And we're
brother's
just-
just
you know
like so
where,
obsessed. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's all we do. Like, a little too
Okay, got
religiously.
10 seconds. Will be coming on.
Okay. Ow! Yeah! Yeah, that's 22S radio. Let's go.
I like that.
that was sassy, and right? And
That
you know
was
what?
green wig right there.
That's true.
Green
See,
wig, I love that.
I'm rocking the green mic right now, so
I
I'm
know.
feeling a bit
Sassy.
sassy. And then you're usually rocking my yellow mic, which is like the blonde bomber. So like, if you had a yellow wig, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I kind of am a diva, and my mom listening right now probably is shaking her head, going,
Wow.
"Yes, very much a diva."
I love that.
But I think that's cool, and I know you're rocking the pink hair in the studio right now, and like when you get in that mood and you got that sense, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling so good. I'm just feeling like, I don't know, I feel like I get more talkative.
Are you feeling?
That's
Yeah.
Ooh, no pun
Oh,
intended.
no pun intended.
You're
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But that's true, because I love it so much that you played this song on The Voice, Cool from Gwen Stefani, and like I know, like, were you a huge fan of No Doubt?
Oh my god. Yeah, that was Gwen Stefani was like a big part of my upbringing, which was like, I think like, I even have talked about it in interviews before, like, I love her so much.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it was pretty appropriate to do one of her songs on the show.
I think so too, and I've never heard that rendition so beautifully done in a cover
I
song.
tried to make it my own a little bit.
No, when you did.
And you did, and that's why I'm obsessed with the click on the ukulele while also playing. Like, I love that so much. So I want the listeners out there to hear it right now. This is LiLi Joy from The Voice. You better guys go check it out. It's on NBC. This is the song that she did.
I'll pull it down to 3. Still don't see him.
Wow.
Just Delgado 3. Sent.
Yeah, so Delgado's calling in.
Chris, it's the Chris Collins show.
Yeah, tell
at
him to call again.
gmail.com.
Tell him to call again.
Yeah,
And then the
I'm calling
password
him.
was.
we're live.
Oh, right.
There you are.
Here, you want to come
Can you write it down on a piece of paper?
He just, no, he said he can't hear us. Recording.
Excuse me.
I got you. Oh, my phone. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I realized that. I was like, ah, you're on. I was playing with the map too.
Remember to hear for a second here? Nice. Hold it down. Now you can hear the program that's happening.
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear?
Thank you. Here we go. It's our first Skype call in since I've been on the program.
Wow, that's so cool.
Thanks, Christian.
Do it here.
Yeah, I want to fade it. Ready?
Thank God!
Thank God.
I always laugh when he says that part because he's like genuinely really stoked for you,
Oh
just
my
as much as
God.
like that's got 2 million views out there.
I
You
know.
should be so
I
stoked.
know. It's like surreal. Like it. Oh my god. Like the day it aired, I literally didn't feel like I was alive.
Were you kind of like numb, like
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
was
like the
like,
first time you were stage struck?
Yes.
Or
Exactly.
starstruck?
Exactly.
And I think that's amazing. And you know what? We actually got here in the studio calling in on a Skype call. We got Justin Delgado, who's actually one of my very first guests when we came into 22S.
Hey.
Delgado loves your music, and I thought it was so cool that.
I feel the same towards you. You're freaking so cool.
I know, I was rocking out also. I haven't met you yet, Justin Delgado. I was not sure
That's
yet.
true. You were.
So you have to come back.
It
Yeah.
is. We are packed, and it's been so cool because people have been noticing the movement about what we've been wanting to do, which is basically having a vocal spotlight for our generation and against the generations. I'm just kidding. But I think that's so cool and special because I know you guys both admire each other's music, so I thought this could be a really cool, special moment on the air, you know. And I know.
I want to see some collaboration with you.
I would be.
That's what I want.
That's
I
what-
love both of your sounds and your music gels nicely. That's what I would love. As
That's-
a fan, I want to see you guys work together.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd be so down. That'd be so fun. Like, I'm always
Yay, on the
like
Chris
I've
Collins
never
show.
done like
Yes.
an actual collaboration with like an artist before, so that'd be really really fun. Yeah.
Let-
No, I've never done that. That'd be really fun. Oh my
That's
god,
right.
that's so sweet of you.
Snap, snap.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's oh my god, that's amazing. Like I
I'm
honestly,
blushing for LiLi right
That's
now.
so,
I'm like, this is
that's
so cool.
sweet. And I remember like before we were about to go on the show, like I was like, let's look at like the first artist that was ever on here. So we went and we looked at like all your stuff before you changed your name and everything. And like you're like the the perfect b-boy indie singer. Like you're like almost like a Rex Orange County, but like in a singular form. And it's like your originals kind of are like that too. And they're honestly beautiful. I'm like so mad that you don't have more views on your video. Like I'm actually angry.
So viewers need to go and check out Justin Delgado and look at all of his
His
stuff
new
on
name is
YouTube.
Soren.
Yes.
Soren. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, like Soren over California.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Soren music.
And you know what's cool? I just got to ask you a quick question because there's no more Calvin anymore. What happened with your alter ego?
That's beautiful.
And we'll update that stuff on our website also to reflect Soren, your new,
Yeah.
what you are. So we'll
Exactly,
let you
and
know.
we're going to be having Justin Delgado stick around with us because we got another segment we're going to get going on to. But if all the listeners out there are listening to us right now, we got LiLi Joy in the studio right now. This is the contestant from The Voice. She's on Team Blake, and I just want to remind all the listeners out there that you're listening to 22 West Radio. That's 88.1 FM HD3. So Delgado knows what's good, but I know this is something new for you, but we always like to end the show off on a positive. Because, you know, there's so much constant negativity on channels 2 through 11 that we're really trying to break the mold, Marissa and I. So in this segment, we usually like to come up with something that we find that's really interesting this week. And one of the coolest projects that I've never really heard of, it's actually called Projects for Good. and it's actually a group that came out of Santa Monica. And it's basically like it's unlike Kickstarter, which they like fund like creative startups, or like GoFundMe, which addresses like personal needs. This is actually an organization hub that actually allows for people to find these organizations to actually contribute instead of actually putting fundings towards it. So like my biggest thing is like when I'm listening to like, you know, like Bring Me the Horizons, like this famous heavy metal band. They got this song called Anti-Vis. Oh, look at all the kids out there. What's good, guys?
Hey,
we got LiLi Joy from the Voice from NBC. She's in the studio right now, and we got all these cool fans. It's so cool. And we got Justin Delgado, Soren, and they're stoked. And like, so we like to end the show off on a positive note. So I think it's really cool because this is Patrick Forlani. He volunteered originally back in the 1980s to volunteer with this group called Heal the Bay, which was trying to clean up the water pollution back in the 1980s. So
But I used to do so I would do it at houses. It's a really fun one. You kind of go out and do fundraisers. And
Yeah,
you just do lemonade stands.
Yeah.
And you give all the send the money out to them, and they use it to fund up. And I also big advocate for saving our rainforests and saving and like, oh my god, it's just awful how it's getting.
I know. Soren, is there a charity that you are personally active in or really support? Okay. That's Faith Child
Wow.
Ministry. I'm gonna check that out. Wow.
yeah. And it's funny because I always been rocking this one on my wrist for like so long. I got it at work tour. It's, what is it? Wildlife's Fires project. It's kind of funny because it's like this revival kind of group. But I think it's so cool that like they actually use the power of music sometimes to get like fan bases to collaborate with each other to do something for a good cause. So like they'll kind of go out and play that kind of music, and then you can kind of support them. So I think that's kind of cool. So I wonder if like more organizations out there could like maybe as much as we're doing it, maybe kind of cater for certain people. I think that can be kind of a cool fit. Yeah. That's true. And you know what, LiLi Joy, I just wanted to say I am so blessed that you came to the studio. I think you're a true rock star, my friend, and you are going places. Sky is the limit for you. And Justin Delgado, aka Soren, thanks for calling in, man. I think this is so cool that you guys kind of have this moment on air. Yeah, so
We'll connect you two.
so Delgado, that's kind of the new thing now. People kind of DM to make their ways to kind of make things happen. So hit her up on Instagram. Hopefully we hear about this collab over the summer.
And listeners,
No, I'm so down. Let's do it. Seriously.
come on down.
I love it.
And where can our listeners follow you, Lily?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's just LiLi Joy. That's Y at the end. Probably find
Yeah, I actually got this info for you, so I can help you out.
Yeah.
So basically, I want you guys to not forget to follow her on Facebook. That is LiLi Joy. LiLi Joy, so there's no extra Y's on that. And on YouTube, it's also LiLi Joy. But on Instagram, you guys got to remember there's two Y's. Two Y's at the end. It's LiLi Joy with two Y's. And if you want to follow her on Twitter, it's 3 Y's.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All these things for me.
Soren, where can our listeners follow you? It's SOARIN, music, MUSIC.
Yay, Marissa knows how to spell. Yay! Woo! And if you guys like what you're hearing, check out our Patreon page. You can check that out at chriscollinshow.com. And I just wanted to remind all the listeners out there that you are listening to 88.1 FM HD3.
And keep listening afterwards. We are going to play Sore Eyes from Soren on our way after the show.
Right? And you might as well play some Tatiana at the end. Why not,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
All right, peace out, fam. Enjoy your Friday weekend, and let's get the party going. Peace.
Ciao, Bellas.
That was was awesome.
That was so fun.
So much fun.
All right.
I love this song. My mom was
No,
singing
thank
it.
you.
Like, all
I
the
know.
time.
Thank you.
Bye.